Mike LaFleur speaks to the Arizona Cardinals media and fan base yesterday. How did he do? Plus, some Suns trade deadline stuff. The Suns won last night, but they've got some major flaws. Let's talk about that and much more in this edition of the Ben Garcia Show.
The Ben Garcia Show. Yeah. Woo. Best show in the land. Yup. Listen. Come and get your information from Ben Garcia. Get the latest on your quarterback, running backs, and receivers. Tune in, so any other show you don't need him. Any news that he giving out, please just believe him. Giving out the latest prediction and top-notch analysis. Wanna hear the truth, better have thick skin like callus. The latest move that your team just made can be damaging. The dudes ain't speaking no facts, they just be rambling. Lights, camera, action, turn on the show, go get the cameraman. Yeah. Lights, camera, action, turn on the show, go get the cameraman. The Ben Garcia Show.
What is up, guys? Welcome in to yet another edition of the Ben Garcia Show. Appreciate you guys tuning in on this. What are we at? Wednesday at 8 a.m. Do me a favor, hit that like, hit that share, hit that subscribe button. If there's a way that you guys ever want me to do this full time, that's the way you do it. Really quickly, because I didn't mention this to you guys this week, because I normally head to the Super Bowl every year. Over the last couple of years, on Monday night, I usually fly over and I'm there till Friday morning, and I'll come home and I'll get some really good content for you guys. For those of you that don't know, I say this all the time, but I don't mean to beat beat a drum too many times, but my wife is pregnant. We are a week past term. So there's no Super Bowl, no Radio Row coverage this year, as I am not Joe Brady, and my daughter could be here at any moment. So that is why I'm not at the Super Bowl this year. That's why I'm not getting all that delicious, meaty content for you guys. Next year, that will obviously be different. I will be in Los Angeles covering that Super Bowl, but this year, child on the way. So we are going to make sure we make the birth of my child. So with that being said, we are still got a lot of stuff to talk about, and we still got a lot of stuff to talk about here in this present version in Phoenix, Arizona, talking all things Arizona Cardinals, and of course, some Phoenix Suns. For those of you in the chat, my guy B. Dorset, good morning. What's up, man? Brian, Michael, golly, you guys are so polite, just saying good morning. Saul, my guy Cards fan 09. What is up, everyone? Thank you so much for being here on this Wednesday version of the Ben Garcia Show. So let's talk about Mike LaFleur a little bit. I feel like I was positive enough on Monday. I thought Mike LaFleur, for all intents and purposes, won the press conference on Tuesday. I thought he sounded great. Sounds very intelligent. Bit of a football nerd, a football savant, if you will. He seems like someone who absolutely gets the game of football. But I can't get sucked into it. I know it can come off as negative. I don't mean to be negative. But we have seen things before look good in principle, and the Cardinals find a way to screw it up. This is why on Monday, I was so adamant on good hire. Now you have to support him. Because I can't take much from opening pressers anymore. And it wasn't until when I'm planning for this show yesterday, and of course, after that really late Suns game last night, I don't know if you guys can tell, my bags have bags from watching the Suns pulverize the Blazers in the second half. But after that game was over, I was planning a little bit. I was planning for this show. And oftentimes when I do that, I'll have something going on in the background, a podcast, a Spotify, whatever. It's something. I can't stew in my own thoughts for very long. And I was watching the Colin Cowherd podcast with John Middlecoff. And Middlecoff had just mentioned something that really brought me back to reality. And it was, he basically said he likes the hire of Mike LaFleur. And it's one of the reasons why it's the same reason why he's giving Robert Saleh a second chance. Because his words were, you're just not going to survive with the Jets. And with the Cardinals, it was the same way. You're just not going to, we're just not going to survive, or he's just not going to survive with the Cardinals. And it really sucked me back into reality of, I hope this works, but the Cardinals find a way to screw things up. Which is why I go back to, sure, good hire, fine press conference. You need to support this guy. You need to allow him to pick his quarterback. It doesn't sound like it's Kyler Murray after yesterday. You need to allow him to go get his DC. More on Wink Martindale in a second. But it's not enough just to say the right things. It's not. You've got to come out and actually do the thing. And from what we heard from Mike LaFleur, it seems like he does understand that a bit, at least a little bit, right? I don't want to overblow an opening press conference. Guys, it's really easy to win those. It actually means less to me if you win them rather than if you lose them. I think that's actually a bigger story. And so I thought Mike sounded great. I thought his family looked awesome and very proud of him. He clearly comes from this strong nuclear family that has built him for moments like this and taking on the Cardinals' job. But I will not get excited about opening pressers anymore. I'm actually, after weeks of praising the Arizona sports media and saying, you know what? I'm normally after you guys because you guys are incredibly soft, too scared to ask the hard questions. After praising the Arizona sports media for so many weeks, because I felt like they were harsh on Bidwell, I felt like they were harsh to a fault. I felt like they were part of the reason why the Cardinals ended up not hiring Vance Joseph. Yesterday was a bad day for media. I mean, hell, why don't you ask Mike LaFleur what his favorite color is? That's the degree of questions that was being asked. You know, I don't want to call out any reporter specifically, but we didn't get answers to a few different things. One, why did this process take so long? Why was it so extensive? And more importantly, why is this a benefit to the Cardinals? Why is it a benefit to keep everyone in the dark of what they actually are doing? Why is it a benefit that people like myself take a sledgehammer to your credibility? What's the benefit of going to Area 51, going 10 stories down, taking no technology with you, and conducting an interview? I wanted answers to that, and we never got it. And I saw the Twitter kumbaya of how great the opening presser was. I'm going to be honest with you. I wasn't that wowed. I thought it was fine. I didn't think it was great. I didn't think it was bad. I thought it was somewhere in the middle. And to be fair, all the negatives, two things. I think there were two negatives of Mike LaFleur. And then the rest of the negatives were all on the Cardinals media. Mike LaFleur didn't get a chance to answer any tough questions. It felt like Mike LaFleur was doing his best on trying to convince you that he belonged here. It was kind of similar to Jordan Ott's opening press conference for the Phoenix Suns, where Jordan Ott kind of had to put some reporters in their place and say, no, I earned this job. I don't know if I ever got that with Mike LaFleur. I think he tried to allude to it, but I don't know if I ever got that specifically. So, again, I don't want to be the Debbie Downer, but I don't want to get excited about opening pressers. The Cardinals, I guess, let me go to this. Mike LaFleur, two things from him yesterday that I didn't like. I don't like when you openly lie to people. I don't like when you look at people and you lie straight up. The first one is when he said Michael Bidwell, he cares about this team a ton. All he wants to do is win, cares about it more than anyone else. He said something like that's not a direct quote, but something like that verbatim in his opening presser. I know he's not going to come out and say, Michael Bidwell doesn't care about winning. I'm going to have a hard time trying to convince him that this is how we win here. But maybe don't say anything at all. Maybe don't say anything at all. Because I'm not buying it. I'm not buying that Bidwell is, just this football historian that it really, is going to win at all costs. I'm not going to buy that. So I didn't like that because you're just openly lying. And then the second thing was when he listed literally every single job he's ever worked at, like trying to convince me that he earned it, like that he wasn't just given this job, that he had earned it. I'm not necessarily really mad about that at all, but it's just like, let's stay in the moment. Let's stay in the moment. But that one feels like me picking on him a little bit. So, I don't know, man. Here's where I'm at with the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals, have you ever had a moment in your life where you had some self-realization and you're like, oh no, I'm the problem and I need to turn things around? And a lot of us, those in the chat, myself, I have this all the time, guys. I know it sounds so superficial, but all the time I think about a bad show I had or something I did wrong at my normal job, and it eats at me for days on end. I'm such a perfectionist. It's honestly exhausting. The Cardinals are the guy who keeps screwing up and tells you they're going to change. And the first two times they tell you you're going to change, you're like, people deserve second chances, and you allow them the chance to change. But they just never do. So that's where I'm at. You want to change? Don't just tell me anymore. Show me you're going to change. So it's hard. And I'm sorry to say that, but it's hard for me to get excited about opening pressers. Did he sound very smart? Did he sound ready for the moment? Was there a beautiful moment captured by him and his brother, shaking hands, looking at each other, realizing a dream of a lifetime? Absolutely. None of it matters if they don't support him and give him what he needs. Let's talk about the Kyler Murray aspect of it all. Because I had mentioned to you guys that if Mike LaFleur wants Kyler Murray, then Mike LaFleur should get his say. He should get his quarterback, whatever that looks like. Now, I've never said that I was actively rooting for Kyler Murray to come to Arizona or for Kyler Murray to have another stint in Arizona. I was never rooting for that. But as of yesterday, hearing him talk about it in the presser, that was another thing too. We just didn't get enough Kyler Murray questions in the presser. We didn't get enough questions about what this coaching process looked like and what the method to the madness was. We didn't get really anything on the coordinators. I don't know why Arizona media is so scared to ask those tough questions. So Kyler Murray, the few times he got asked about him, it was very nonchalant. it was very dismissive. And I think that's your answer there, that Kyler Murray's not coming back. Now, I hope it was Mike LaFleur's call. I don't hope it was Michael Bidwell or Monty Ossenfort's call. I don't want them forcing their beliefs on Mike LaFleur. So Mike LaFleur made this call and he's moving on from Kyler. That's totally fair, and I will absolutely support it. And from what he said yesterday, said he FaceTimed Kyler, gave him a little "what's up, man?" and that was that. And then with the interview with, I think, Dave Burns and I think Tim Ring yesterday, they basically said the same thing of just, we got a lot of positions we need to evaluate. And when you combine that with, I know this is stupid for the older people in my chat, and it is stupid even for the young people in my chat. There was no Kyler Murray in attendance at the opening presser, and there has been nothing in terms of Kyler Murray saying something on social media, in a direct quote, giving his praise for Mike LaFleur. Nothing. That tells me the Kyler Murray era is over in Arizona. And that's not surprising. We're going into year 8 with Kyler. And Mike LaFleur, his offense has never featured a quarterback under 6 foot. And at this point, it's much more realistic to me that the Cardinals are going to bring in Jimmy Garoppolo or something of that space to run his offense. Whether it's Jacoby, whether it's Jimmy, that feels more attainable than Kyler Murray does right now for the Mike LaFleur offense. I think Mike is not interested on the best version of this offense. At some point he is. I think what he's trying to do is make this offense look competent. And not just competent when they're down 30 points in a game. Make it look competent. Let Michael Wilson get his. Marvin Harrison Jr., Trey McBride. I think the other thing is he's talked with the other players on this team. He got their vote. And if you put truth serum in Michael Wilson, Marvin Harrison Jr., or Trey McBride's veins, I think they'd tell you they'd be ready to move on. I think they just like Jacoby Brissett more. My guy Trevor in the chat. What about Mac Jones? Well, what about him? The 49ers already said they're not trading him. And if they did for some reason trade him after saying that they're not going to trade him, second round pick, I don't think Kyle's just going to let him go, especially with the injury history of Brock Purdy. I would expect very regular, I don't even know what to say, a very baseline offense next year. And I think that's what Mike LaFleur should be doing, stabilizing it. Here's the other thing. When we talk about coordinators for Mike LaFleur, when we talk about who will call the defense, and of course, who will be his assistant as an OC. If you want to change the perspective around the league of the Arizona Cardinals, you've got to get high-profile coordinators. Guys with experience. I think Frank Reich would have been awesome as an OC for the Cardinals. He is obviously with the Jets. He's got that relation to Aaron Glenn. Both guys have played for the New York Jets. Both guys did. I thought he would have been great as an offensive coordinator for the Cardinals because he's not calling plays. And I saw the report of Nathaniel Hackett could be the Arizona Cardinals OC, according to CBS Sports. I'm actually not against that either. Do I like Nathaniel Hackett? No. Is he a bad head coach? Probably. But, I don't really care about any of that because he's not calling the plays. Can he just focus on Mike LaFleur's plan and being a good quarterback coach? I actually don't hate it. Nathaniel Hackett, the play caller? Hell no. Nathaniel Hackett, the assistant? I'm not necessarily against that. It just doesn't matter. But if the Cardinals want to be taken seriously around the league, they've got to hire not just experienced coordinators, maybe with a couple of gray hairs, but open up the checkbook a little bit to get competent coaching in here. This is how you support Mike LaFleur. The offensive coordinator doesn't matter as much because Mike LaFleur is going to call plays. But a name thrown out there as the defensive coordinator for the Arizona Cardinals is Wink Martindale. And I cannot tell you how perfect that would be for the Arizona Cardinals. I can't tell you how much respect the Cardinals earn if they can trick Wink to step through that door. Has Wink's defenses been elite over the past couple of years in the NFL? Not necessarily. But you could argue what was his talent. And I also think that Wink, like when I watch Mike LaFleur, I don't know if I see a leader of men. It's my honest truth. I don't know if I see that. Kind of a dork, kind of a football dork, got a very strange haircut that we're going to need to work on. Smaller dude. Wink Martindale oozes leadership, oozes toughness. Someone well respected around the league. Aggressive to a fault defensively. We're just going to blitz the hell out of you and play cover zero. If you're going to beat us, you're going to beat us with us throwing a blitz. Or you're going to beat us with us throwing a blitz at you. I love the idea of bringing Wink Martindale in here. I think Mike LaFleur lacks the toughness aspect of a head coach. And I don't think that that's necessarily on him. I think some of that has to do with his stature, with his personality. Bringing Wink Martindale in covers up that deficiency. That shows, you want some tough guys in here. And would also not necessarily be a cheap defensive coordinator hire. Not only are you going to have to eat the contract on Nick Rallis, but you're also going to have to pay a pretty penny to get Wink out of Michigan. His scheme would fit those of Denzel Burke and Will Johnson on the outside. Cardinals struggled getting pressure last year. What if you add Ruben Bain to this? I love it. I love it. Well, Ben, his defenses haven't been top-notch for a couple of seasons. Well, I'd argue, what did his defensive personnel look like? Because that dude is highly respected around the league. And if you signed Wink Martindale as your new defensive coordinator, I truly would say to you, damn, man, that really elevates this hire of Mike LaFleur. And that is what the Cardinals need to do. Keep taking this seriously and support Mike LaFleur. So, I think that's what I got over the last couple of days. Talking about the additions of Mike LaFleur and his, and his opening presser. Okay. So for those of you that don't know, the Phoenix Suns did play basketball last night. And That game started at 9:15, didn't end till midnight last night, right around then. And I came away with a couple of things. I can't be as know-it-all-y on Locked On Suns. People they just don't like that. However, I'm having a really good year talking about the Suns. Really good year. I've praised Colin Gillespie to a fault. He was awesome last night. I praised Jamari Bouye, said it makes other players expendable. Now you're allowed to talk about that. Now you're allowed to say that, which is frustrating. And then months ago, I talked about the Suns' woes in the painted area and with longer, lengthier teams. And that first quarter was atrocious. I mean, watching the Suns go up against the Blazers, it was rough. And then somehow you found a way to crawl yourself back in it in the second half. And I mean, Donovan Clean started off the game with 3 3-pointers, getting them up 9-4 in this game. Robert Williams hit a 3. Timoni Kamara was hitting shots last night in the first half. But once it got to the second half, there was no shot for the Blazers to come and beat the Suns. The Suns weathered the Blazers' 3-point barrage and scoring in the first half, and the law of averages took place in the second half, and then they couldn't buy a bucket. And the Suns couldn't miss, and they couldn't weather that storm. And I think I've had a pretty good year talking about the Suns, especially on Locked On Suns. But it's why I keep telling people sports discourse is important. There are very few takes that are just egregiously bad. Let someone make you think. And the Colin Gillespie thing is interesting. Because I've been the one saying Colin Gillespie's a starter on 20 NBA teams, and I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that he shouldn't start over Jalen Green. I'm not interested in having the Jalen Green, Colin Gillespie starting conversation right now. The problem is, I was ostracized for saying some of those things. And I cited Jalen Green's not an official. I laid out all of the statistics. But it didn't matter because people have this affinity for Jalen Green that they didn't have for Colin Gillespie. I'll tell you what, man, this kid can play. This kid is freaking good. He's a starter on 20 other NBA teams, maybe more. And last night, I mean, guys, we are talking about to this point. We have more signature moments this year from Colin Gillespie than we do from anyone else on the Phoenix Suns this year. Signature moments. That's not saying he's better than any of them. I'm saying we have more moments from Colin Gillespie than we do from anyone else this year. I mean, the dude's been awesome. He's just been awesome. And my guy, True Dialect, yeah, we know, bro. You bring it up every 5 minutes. I don't think that's true, but still. What we've seen from Colin Gillespie has been awesome this year. And it's, you know what? That's why I do bring it up often. Because I'm like, oh, yeah, remember I was ostracized for that take? What about Jamari Bouye? Remember that take? Oh, wow, he's been really good this year. His play alongside other guards have really elevated and allowed the Suns to make a move at the deadline. Was ostracized for that take. Now everyone's okay with talking about that. That's a little frustrating. And then, of course, some of the defensive woes for the Suns. Points in the paint. Rebounding. I couldn't think of that word. But I think it's clear the Suns need to make a move at the deadline. What does that look like? There's a fine line between reckless and aggressive. I want the Suns to be aggressive. I don't want them to be reckless. This team is good enough to win a playoff series. And then after that, truly, guys, all bets are off. All bets are off. You could If someone gets injured in the Western Conference, there's a chance you could be a Western Conference Finals team. And I think the Suns roster has earned the right to have you add someone to it. Meaning their play should be rewarded. Well, I don't want to screw with team chemistry. This is a business. They understand Royce O'Neal could get dealt. You know, I've talked about trading Grayson Allen. He might just be too valuable to what the Suns do, which again takes a hit of what you could actually bring back because Grayson is probably your best asset. And so I know the Suns need to make a move. I just don't know what it's going to be. Like the Gertch and Yabusele thing doesn't feel like it's going to happen. It sounds like the Suns, according to Fred Katz, said thanks but no thanks. And you know what? That's fair. I know people just want to ship off Nick Richards, but he is insurance for Mark Williams, even if I don't love Nick Richards. Someone who I wasn't on from the start when he got traded from the Hornets. My first thought was, guys, the backup center for the Hornets is going to save the Suns. Not big on that, but he is a body. He is a good backup for the Suns. And according to John Gambadoro, it sounds like the Suns are going to make a move. They're going to bring someone in. And someone I look at who could be really interesting for this team is Saddiq Bey. I just don't know if they have the assets to bring him in. He's been really good as of recently. He is a 6'8", bigger guard. So again, you're still getting bigger on this team and positions don't matter as much anymore. Shooting 44% from the field, 34% from three, 83% from the line, 16 points a game this year, having a career year. People, well, Ben, why not Jeremy Sohan? That shouldn't cost a lot. I saw this last night from a different account on social media. Why? Jeremy Sohan doesn't fit anything the Suns do. He's not a bad shooter. He's a terrible shooter. He's a good defender. He's a willing rebounder. But the idea is you got to be able to shoot a little bit. That's why with at least Gertch and Yabusele, he did shoot the ball well from three last season. Like that did happen. And so I know the Suns need to make a deal. Who is it going to be for? I'm not sure. Saddiq Bey is interesting. Do they have the assets to get him? Maybe not. Gertch and Yabusele is interesting. Sounds like the Suns aren't interested in him. I'm not doing the Jeremy Sohan thing. Obi Toppin was really interesting for a spell there. John Collins was interesting until the Clippers started to play better. Now they're probably not going to sell off pieces unless your name's James Harden. It'll be interesting to see what the Suns do, but it's definitely for certain they've got to make a move. This team has earned that right. And if the Wolves or Warriors are loading up with Giannis, you've got to load up with something. Try to help match that energy. You're 50 games into the season. You know what you are. You're a full-on playoff team. And you can't just bring someone in who's big and will rebound. That is a problem the Suns have, but they can't be a liability offensively. Otherwise, teams will just sag off them. My guy in the chat, Harden to Cav. I don't know what that has to do with anything because I mentioned that, but still. Suns got to make a move. They've got to make a move. And when I say the Suns need to make a move, I'm asking them to be aggressive, not reckless. I don't want you to trade Grayson and Royce O'Neal and a bunch of picks to make a swing for someone. I'm asking you to see if you can package a couple of expiring deals, Nigel Hayes-Davis, Nick Richards, a couple of seconds maybe, and bring someone in here that could help this team. A couple of guys that come to mind. Saddiq Bey, Gertch and Yabusele is interesting. Those bigger types of players. Someone who is not just a net negative offensively. And if I'm being honest with you, I think Matt Ishbia has got something up his sleeve. I really do. This guy is a businessman. He's made good move after good move recently. He's on a hot streak. I think he's going to do something. What is that going to be? Well, that remains to be seen, and we'll see when it happens. But until then, guys, that's all I got for you on this edition of the Ben Garcia Show. My guy, Bobby Portis, would be awesome for the Suns team. He fits the Suns to a T. Him and Saddiq Bey are at the top of my Suns trade target list because Saddiq Bey, bigger guard, shoots the ball well, could do some things good for you rebounding. Bobby Portis, 6'9", 40% from three, once punched a teammate. Yeah, I like that tough guy. Bring him to Phoenix. But again, going to be hard to do. Guys, do me a favor, hit that like, share, subscribe button. Follow me on all social media platforms at Ben Garcia Show. Appreciate you guys tuning into the show. Again, my child is due any day now. And when that happens, I'll make an announcement and I'll go on a little bit of a paternity leave. But for now, we're still on baby watch. No child here yet. Do me a favor, guys. Hit that like, share, subscribe button. It helps me out tremendously to continue to put out content like this. Appreciate you guys being here. You guys are awesome. Thank you for allowing me to do this every morning for a half an hour plus. I'm Benjamin Garcia. For everyone in the chat, Jericho, True Dialect, that's Sir Noob, Brian, Slade, Saul, Michael, David. Appreciate you guys being here. B. Dorset, Cards Fan 09. I'm Benjamin Garcia. It's been the Ben Garcia Show. Talk to you guys on Friday at 8 a.m. See you guys later.